Good morning, everyone. This is Charles with Exodus Logistics Dispatching and Training, Freight Broker 101 Training for Beginners, Module 2. Module 2 is entitled Getting Approved Carriers, or Getting Carriers Approved under the Brokerage, signing them up so they can run loads for you based off of the loads of your shippers that they provide. So, getting approved carriers to come up under your brokerage. Okay, what we'll talk about is the different equipment types that that you pursue to go after these carriers to get them to run your loads for you. Also, the types of companies to target for the loads, type of trucking companies, vetting the carriers, carrier packets, and other documents and TMS systems. So that's the overview of Module 2 that we go over in the Freight Broker 101 Training for Beginners. So the first one is the equipment types. What equipment types do you generally start off going after if you are new to the freight brokering industry? You don't have any experience, no book of business, and things like that. So as in dispatching, the three main equipment types that we try to focus on are the 53-foot dry van tractor trailers, the 53-foot refrigerated trailers, which are the trailers with the TCU or the temperature control units attached to the front of the trailer to keep the commodity or the freight pre-cooled to a certain temperature. And then also the 48 or 53-foot flatbed trailers. The flatbeds are going to be the easiest entry point to get into, particularly if you're going after customers or the shippers. The flatbed and the flatbed commodity types are the easiest one to go after, like the lumbers and the steel pipes and things like that. And the reason being is because lumber loads, although they don't pay that much, the shippers are willing to add you to their list, try to get those loads moved. Because of that reason, they don't pay as much, so they want as many brokers to try to broker those loads out so they can get those loads out as quick as possible. So obviously, the more brokers they have trying to get their loads moved from a shipper's perspective, then the likelihood of them getting that load moved for them. So, but those are the three main equipment types: the dry vans, 53-foot, the flatbeds, 48, 53-foot, or the reefers, 53-foot. Next, the types of companies to target. I usually suggest for beginning brokers, those who are just starting off, and agents under them, to go after companies, trucking companies in your local area where you live, where you are based, and try to concentrate on companies that have about 1 to 10 assets starting off, the smaller companies. Assets are the actual trucking trailers. They're called assets in the trucking industry. So try to go after those smaller companies first, build those relationships, get them set up with your brokerage, sign up with you, and then move those loads for your shippers with those smaller trucking companies. Next is, of course, before getting them out or getting them up to run under your brokerage, you of course want to vet these carriers out and make sure that they qualify based off of the criteria from what your shipper wants to have for running their loads. Because remember, as a brokerage, your clients are the shippers. You work for the shippers. You move the loads for the shippers. So whatever criteria that they have for vetting out the type of carriers that they want, that is what the qualifiers will be for you when you go after the carriers to get them set up under the brokerage. And some of the resources that you use are, there's a CSA website through the DOT.gov website, csa.fmcsa.dot.gov. CSA stands for Compatibility, Safety, and Accountability. It checks the CSA scores, accidents, and things like that. And we have a link to that in the in module 2 and a screenshot of what it looks like. And then there's obviously the safer website of FMCSA. That's where you go check a person's the trucking company's name or their DOT or their MC, check their insurance and licensing information, check their measurability, the SMS, safety measurability system. Make sure that they are not, if you are a broker, make sure that they're not part of a brokerage. The trucking company, their entity type says specifically carrier as opposed to saying carrier/broker, because you don't want to get into the realm of double brokering. So you look for information that kind of vet them out that way. So once they are vetted out and they meet the criteria of what your customer has established for your brokerage to move that load for that specific customer, then of course you want to get the carrier under an agreement with you, your brokerage. So you send them out what's called a carrier packet. A broker carrier agreement is the agreement that you and the carrier and it's laid out in certain terms and conditions, and that's in agreement with what the shipper is requiring. Some of the points that are in the carrier packet deals with like insurance qualifiers, like for example, minimum for cargo maybe $100,000, minimum for liability maybe $1 million. There may be some payment options in there that talks about quick pay options, where you provide quick pay based off of your factoring company for a certain percentage. You also may provide an ACH transfer, automated clearinghouse, where you transfer the money that the carrier earned for that load into a checking or savings account based off of the account number and the routing number of the trucking company's bank. Or you may have the standard 15 to 30 day regular check that's sent to the home base of the carrier's residence or place of business. And then of course, if the carrier themselves have a factoring company, then of course you get that information as well. So that carrier packet is filled out by the carrier and returned to your brokerage, where you in turn process that information into your system. You may have a spreadsheet, a database, or even a transportation management system, TMS system, where you enter that information, you add that information to your system, and then you run it by your compliance team or maybe your factoring company to or whatever process you use to finalize and approve the carrier to be an approved carrier under your brokerage to run loads for your customers. Some of the other documents that are needed and need to be returned along with the carrier broker agreement, the carrier packet, of course, is the carrier's W-9, which shows their federal ID number, their EIN number, and the fact that they are a business. Their MC authority letter, which comes from DOT FMCSA, which shows their unique MC and DOT number as being established, and the unique identifier. Every carrier has one to uniquely identify them as an owner operator. And also their certificate of insurance, showing that they have the insurance qualifiers of cargo and liability, in addition to some other insurance types. And then normally on the insurance, the certificate of insurance, you also want to have your brokerage listed as the certificate holder. So they return those other documents, you process that into your TMS system, and you go from there. And once the carrier gets approved, they are an approved carrier, they're in the system. Now you can start calling them for running loads for your specific lane for your specific customers. So that's what we cover and go over in a little bit more detail in Module 2. Wanted to give you an overview of what that is about. Module 1 covered actually the customers or the shippers themselves. But this is Module 2. Look forward for those who are interested in learning about freight brokering, the basics, Freight Broker 101 training for beginners. You can go to www.exodusdispatchingandtraining.com and then click on the Freight Broker enrollment page and then go from there. Thank you, and look forward to hearing from you.